Hello students, Mrs. Pancoke here. Today we're going to be working on lesson 7 out of chapter 2. This lesson is about computers and daily life. In this lesson um, we will study the history of computers, we will describe how computers improve productivity, and we will consider how computers are a part of everyday life. Alright, so 7A, History of Computers. Let's go ahead and change that one. The first electronic computers were introduced in the mid-1900s. These computers were very big. If you look at figure 2.1 on page 44 in your textbook, there's a picture of what these computers look like. Some computers were housed in large rooms and weighed hundreds of pounds. Early computers could only perform basic operations. For example, they could add, subtract, divide, and multiply. They could do these tasks many times faster than a person could. However, they were painfully slow compared to today's computers. Advances in computers came slowly at first. Once computers had a way to store information, the demand for them grew. People started building smaller computers. In 1977, the Apple personal computer was introduced. Since that time, computers have steadily changed and improved. Some important milestones in the history of computing are shown in figure 2.1. This on the screen kind of highlights some important times. So in 1946, the ENIAC was created. In 1951, UNIVAC was bought by the U.S. Census Bureau. In the 1960s, computer mouse developed. Mini computers were introduced. Astronauts used computers to land on the moon. In the 1970s to 1980s, Apple and IBM PCs were introduced. Notebook computers were introduced. Macintosh with GUI, which is graphical user interface, was introduced. So basically, screen had color and pictures other than the black and green. 1990s to 2000s, the World Wide Web was developed and PDAs were introduced, which were um, little mini computers, kind of like your phone, sort of, but with no phone capabilities, like a handheld computer. Tablet computers were introduced, the first iPhone was released, and Google Chrome and Gmail were released. In 2010 to 2014, the first iPads were released. Watson's supercomputer wins Jeopardy! Windows 8 was released. Internet-connected TVs and tablets changed TV and movie viewing habits, and new web domain names were released. And then it's a more detailed list of events on table 2.1. So from the 1970s, computer makers have been in intense competition. Each seeks to create faster, smaller, easier to use, and less expensive computers. The results have had huge success. The power of computers has more than doubled every 2 years for the past 35 to 40 years, and that is a lot. Alright, so today's fast, tiny, and powerful computers are finding their way into the most unlikely places, often without knowing it. We use dozens of computers every day. They have become more important in our lives with every passing year. As a result, they now influence the way we work, live, and play. Alright, how computers improve productivity. So, people work and live for thousands of years without computers, so why have we become so dependent on them now? The simple answer is that computers help us get more done. They increase our productivity. Productivity is a measure of how much work can be done in a certain amount of time. Alright, what I want you to do for 7B is I want for you to work with your partner And I want you guys to make a Google Doc. So we'll go here, go to your Google Drive, log yourself in. Oh, I gotta type in my code once it pops up. This is a two-step verification, which basically means that if I try to log into something, it makes sure that it's truly me logging in. All right, you are going to make a Google Doc, a shared Google Doc with you and your partner, and I want you guys to write out your answers for A, B, and C, and on page 46, just answer those three questions. And we will not be sharing these out with the whole class, but I want you to answer these three questions, A, B, C, for 7B on a Google Doc. So your Google Doc will start with your names up here at the top. Then it will be keyboarding 8. Should probably remember the G. Type my name. And then the date. Okay. And then you will answer your three questions on your Google Doc. Both of you working together to answer those three questions. Okay, so the first question was, how do computers make people more productive? Listen, explain your ideas. For these, I want you to use, to answer each of these three questions in 3 sentences. I'll say 3 to 4 sentences for each question. Okay. Second question, can computers make people less productive? List and explain your answers. Can you get along without a computer, cell phone, or other digital tool? List and explain your answers. So you're working with your partner to answer those two questions. For 7C, how computers are a part of everyday lives. All right. So imagine if all computers suddenly disappeared. As you go through your day to day, think about how things would be different without computers. How would they be different at school? Most likely the heating, cooling, emergency, and communication systems all use computers here at school. Obviously, computer labs would disappear, most clocks would stop, and the lights would not turn on. Fire alarms might not work properly. In addition, your teacher could not enter your grades without the help of a computer. How many of your assignments require the use of a computer? Probably a lot. In transportation systems, think about transportation. Without computers, most modern cars would stop working. Many of the safety, pollution control, and starter systems on cars use computers. Cars with onboard computers now parallel park and anticipate movements of vehicles surrounding them to avoid accidents. At home, think about your home. Most appliances, clocks, and other electronic devices would stop working. Your digital phone would not exist. Your television, radio, DVD player, computer games would all quit working too. There would be no internet, email, or instant messaging. At the bank and the mall, think about your money and shopping trips to the mall. Money transactions are routed and recorded by computers. All ATMs require computers to help distribute cash. Credit card systems would cease to work. You would not be able to buy anything at the mall or superstore because the registers would quit working. Besides that, the mall elevators and escalators would stop working. In space, think about the space program. Without computers, spaceships would never get off the ground. Satellites would quit working. The International Space Station would crash to Earth. We might not discover new opportunities in our expanding universe. you now, or you know how computers are used in many areas of people's daily lives. You will explore some other areas where computers are important in this next activity. All right, so back to your Google Doc, you and your partner are going to now answer questions 1 through 3 on page 47 and 48. The first question is, I would just go ahead and number this one 4. Work in a team of 3 or 4. Ask one team member to take notes and the other one to answer this discussion. Okay, brainstorm how computers are used in each of the following categories listed below. List as many ideas as you can. So for 4, that's actually question 2. You're going to make a list of all the ways that computers are used in science, medicine, business and industry, arts and entertainment, and protecting the environment. And then for your 5th question, and so I want you to list, I would say like between 5 and 10 ways that computers are used in those different fields. And then lastly, discuss with oh, never mind. It's just question 4. Just one question. Discuss how computers are used in those industries, and that's it. Once you are done, please both of you need to turn in your Google Doc into Schoology.